Good evening, everyone. So, in the last Torah thought in our series at NHBZ, between now and the end of the year, Rosh Hashanah, which is in almost exactly a week, I wanted to share an idea that occurs in this week's Parashat that is very meaningful for this time of year. When it comes to the secular calendar, as it gets closer to December 31st, New Year's, people come up with resolutions, people come up with different things they want to accomplish in the coming year. And very often they don't materialize. Very often they're not actualized. And what happens? Often they reflect the lack of change in the person. They want a cosmetic fix. They're going to save more money. They're going to lose weight. But there's not a focus on changing how they act and how they live. In our Parsha this week, in chapter 30, verse 11 to 14, our Torah tells us that we have a different mandate. And the following idea is going to be based on that of the Sforno, who says that these psukim are referring to the mitzvah, to the idea to change, of tshuva, to come closer to God. And the Torah says, Ki ha-mitzvah hazos, because this commandment, Asher anochi mitzavcha hayom, that I am commanding to you today, lo nifleisa, it's not hidden from you, v'lo rechoka hi, and it is not distant. And the Sforno explains that this mitzvah, that the ambiguous statement, says that this is the idea of tshuva. It's not a foreign concept, it's not a distant concept. Lo b'ashamayim hi, the Torah says in the next verse, it is not in the heavens. Lemor, so as to say, mi ya'ala lanu hashamayim, who is going to go up to the heavens? Ve'ikacheha lanu, and grab it for us. V'yashmi'enu osav v'na'asena, so that we can listen to it and perform it. And the Torah is telling us, according to the Sforno, that the idea of tshuva is not that which is in the heavens. It is not a elevated spiritual concept to the extent that it is not applicable, that it is not reachable, it is not achievable by the masses. And we don't need a person to be designated to go up to heaven and bring down this concept of tshuva so that we should be able to do it. And we also don't need this straw man, so to speak, to go up to heaven and teach us how to do it. In a sense, it's intuitive. Deep down, we all know things that we could improve upon. Deep down, we all know where we are now and where we ought to be, where we want to be as Jews and as a nation. We don't need someone to go up to heaven to bring it down for us. And the Torah continues, it's not across the ocean. It's not in China. It's not stuck off the coast of Los Angeles in one of the 44 container ships waiting to be unloaded. Lemor is to say, Mi aver lanu el aver hayam, who is going to cross the sea for us? V'ikacheha lanu, and bring it to us. V'yashmi'enu osa v'na'asena. You're not going to find it in another nation. You're not going to find this concept in a different place. You know, there's a concept that individuals who are trying to find themselves will often go on a spiritual journey and find themselves in the mountains in India and Nepal to find Near Eastern, Far Eastern, depending on how far you go, wisdom. The Torah is telling us you don't need to go across the world to become enlightened, to become close to God. It's not over there, it's not over there. The process of tshuva does not require that a person travel far distances in order to achieve it. Why? Why would I say those things? The Torah continues, Ki karov eilecha hadavar ma'or, because this matter is very close to you. Beficha, in your mouths, uvilvavcha, and in your hearts, la sosa, to do it. Another problem with often occurring with New Year's resolutions is people don't do something the next day to make it practical. Oh, I'm going to wake up early. Well, it's a little hard to do that if you went to sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning and you have a really bad hangover when you wake up. To get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and say, I'm going to do a 2-hour exercise regimen every morning. And then eat a healthy breakfast promptly at 8 o'clock. That is not going to happen if you don't do something practical in order to ensure that it can take place. But it's not about New Year's resolutions. Tshuva is not defined by what do you decide, what are you thinking about, what are you committed to doing. It's about what are you actually going to do. What do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, we have 1 week left to Rosh Hashanah. It's a good time in the last week of the year to think about what did we attempt to do, what did we say we were going to do, what did we commit to doing, and what did we actually do? Are we satisfied with what we did? Is there room for improvement? The idea of tshuva, at its essence, is rooted in the idea of shuv, to return. To return to who? To return to God. Before we came down onto this earth, our neshama, our soul, was bound to God. And God took what we call the chelek elokami mal, this piece of godliness, and put it in our physical body. The why and the how are not to discuss at this point in time. But it's important to recognize that the essence of tshuva is bringing ourselves back to that potential, to bring ourselves to the ultimate actualization, to be godly, to be giving people, to be loving people, to be people who are trying to answer the question, what does God want from me at every moment of their lives? To ask themselves, am I doing the best that I can right now? Am I making God proud? Am I using my potential and making the most out of our opportunity? May be worthy, may we be zocheh to enter Rosh Hashanah and to be inscribed in the book of life for a good and healthy and happy year. And we reflect on the feeling of a year ending throughout the year. To focus on the conclusion, to focus on our objective, to be as godly as possible. Have a great Shabbos, have a great week.